Good morning, everyone. Happy Sunday morning it is. Want to welcome everyone here. We are so gracious and happy that you guys have chosen to be with us this morning. Uh, it certainly makes our day. I want to say that we are a community of all inclusiveness and we welcome you. So we want you to feel welcome. So do let us know what that is we can do to make that happen for you. I also would like to say thank you to our volunteers that continuously show up to make this community functional and practical. So we've been able to do this, and guys, it is going on 1 year that we have been able to come together as a community, work together as a community, and be productive as a community. So I want to congratulate each and every one of you, those that are in a supportive role, those that are in leadership roles, and of course, everyone that do come to make this happen. We've been able to support ourselves, we've been able to sustain ourselves, and I encourage each and every one of you to continue your support. That way, we are able to continuously sustain ourselves as we continue to work and look for a permanent minister. Today, we've got a special guest, Reverend Eugene Holden, and the topic of his talk this morning, let's talk about sex, baby. Yes, let's talk about sex, baby. So, quite an interesting title, but Reverend Eugene is going to be looking at this as it relates to the infinite presence. And I think that is such an awesome approach, and I really can't wait to hear the message. So, what is it that we believe here? Our creed, we have a mission, and this is what we believe.
I believe
I believe
I believe in one God,
one absolute power and first cause to all things.
I believe that this power is perfect love
and creates out of a desire to express love.
I believe all thought is creative, and how I choose to think creates my personal experience.
I believe in the unity of all life
and the immortality of the individual soul,
forever unfolding.
I believe
I believe in the eternal goodness,
the eternal goodness of God,
the eternal loving kindness,
and the eternal givingness of God to all.
And so it is.
and so it is.
And so it is.
Okay, yes, that is what we believe, guys. So this morning, I am your practitioner. The practitioners, we go to school, we do continuing education. We are here for you. We are here to support you. If you're facing challenges, you're looking to work through things, or it may not just be a challenge, but you want to just start on something new. It's an exciting adventure. Maybe you want to change direction, possibly with a career or a new venture, maybe be a business, but you would like to have some input or dialogue. We're here to help you through that process. Oftentimes, if you get a different angle, a different idea, it can bring in another side of what it is that you're looking for. And sometimes, oftentimes, it could just be the missing piece that sets you free. So I am your practitioner this morning. I looked at today's talk, which was Let's Talk About Sex, Baby, with Reverend Eugene Holden. And I thought, well, on sex in the worldly world, we have attached so many illusions around sex. But of course, this is how we live our lives. We attach illusions around sex, around money, around love, around people, thought, ideas. We just have an illusion, a world of illusions. Sometimes those illusions are helpful to us, and sometimes those illusions are harmful to us. But I wanted to raise the source of love, regardless of what the illusion may be, knowing that we have a source of love, of infinite love that is there for us, has been a savior for me, has been my go-to, has been, as they say, lifesaver. Just knowing, regardless of what could happen, what may happen, whatever the illusion may be, knowing that there's a source of love that overcomes all. When we are just living our lives, just going along, oftentimes we don't even know that we are in an illusion, and then there's this thing called reality that sets in, and it is abruptly. So I just want to just simply share the concept and the idea of the source of love. Having established a source of love beforehand, regardless of whatever else, and again, this happens for me during my prayer practitioner. I have a spiritual practice that I do daily, and it is going to the source of love that brings me into alignment, regardless of whatever else is going on in my life. Having that source of alignment as a support integrated into my life now allows me to be able to face the challenges and, of course, work through those challenges. So I just want to be a reminder here, because I know all of us have that go-to space. And if not, this would be a great time just to set up that go-to space. But there's a biblical saying, there is no greater love than love. And I'm going to share with you, there is no greater need than love. And knowing and understanding where the love is, how to access love, how to align with the infinite source of love can make a world of difference in life. So I want to do a treatment, and this treatment will be in the first person. I am, there is just the one source. You'll be able to do the treatment again based on what resonates with you. The universe in and of itself, you have a place, and it is that place that you are in a receptive mode to know and understand for yourself what works for you. So as we center ourselves, we come to the oneness, knowing that there is just the one place, that there is one source, that is the one infinite source, that is all people. It is my true understanding in knowing that I too am a creator with the one source. As an expression of this one source, it is from this one source that I do think. It is in the knowing that I can be the love, that I am the love, that I am a conduit of the love. It is this infinite source of love that enters my life, that is a part of everything that I do, that is integrated with everything. It is this wonderful source of infinite love that exists for all of us, for me, for all that I am, for all. And in this infinite source of love, I am grateful to know this truth about this infinite source that is in existence, that does it, that is real, that is true. And it is this wonderful sense of love, this wonderful source of infinite source that I am grateful to know. And for this, I am thankful. And so it is. So, guys, before um, we go to the music, I do just want to remind everyone that in October, we will be on the second Sunday. We will not have service for the first Sunday. We will have service the second Sunday. We have a special guest that will be joining us, Dr. Ray. So here we will go into our speaking. Wow, what a beautiful song. Who cares who you love as long as it's love? So that is one of the things I absolutely love about our community. We do practice love. We do practice who we are. We do practice who we say we are. And it's always wonderful to be part of a loving community. So this morning, guys, we've got a special guest, Reverend Eugene Holden. He's been a student of New Thought, Ageless Wisdom, including Science of Mind and Spirit for over 35 years. He has been a licensed religious science practitioner for 19 years. From 2007 to 2017, Reverend Eugene Holden served the World Ministry of Prayer at the home office here for the Center for Spiritual. After 17 years, Reverend Eugene Holden continues to be a well-loved contributor to the Science of Mind magazine, inspiring lives around the world. Now, I would like to just read an excerpt from his talk. Sex is not just for procreation among human beings. Sex is another way the infinite presence expresses itself in play. And when engaged in from a higher state of consciousness, it becomes a source of great power, the power to create a world that works for all. But first, we must be able to talk about it. I present you all Reverend Eugene Holden. Let's talk about sex, baby.
Thank you, Barbara. Good morning, Midtown. How's everybody doing here in this beautiful realm called virtual reality? Virtual reality, as we are joining here today on StreamYard. So I want to say hi to everybody who is tuned in today and right now. And for those who will tune in a little bit later, hey, how are you doing? I am Eugene Holden here, and I am honored to be here once again with Midtown Centers for Spiritual Living. As we know, this year's theme for Centers for Spiritual Living is a grand rising. So grand rising to everyone. And this month's theme is unstatus quo. Unstatus quo. And so today's talk this week is let's talk about sex, baby. Let's talk about you and me. Let's talk about all the good things and the bad things that can be. Let's talk about sex. That was a song that was brought out by a group called Salt and Pepper back in 1991. Yes, back in the 1900s. And the reason why they brought that song and they came up with that song was to bring the conversation of sex to the forefront. It was in that same year that the professional basketball player Magic Johnson announced that he had HIV. In fact, he retired from the NBA because of that. So Salt and Pepper thought that it would be a good idea to make this controversial song. So here we are, talking about sex in a powerful way. See, the status quo, because remember the theme of the month is unstatus quo. The status quo would have us not talking about sex. The status quo has us hiding from this natural, beautiful, powerful gift that we have been given from the infinite. The status quo would have us use this to separate from each other, to feel blame and shame even within ourselves. See, the status quo, which I believe is and has been created, has been in place for such a long time, has been created to keep us from really identifying with who we truly are. I call the status quo in some instances a weapon of mass distraction. And we have a lot of weapons of mass distraction that go on in our lives every day. The news brings up stuff over and over and over again that keeps us distracted from love. Doesn't care. It doesn't matter who you love as long as you love. But as we are distracted from that, then we tend to experience the opposite of love. Right. And I think it's the Course in Miracles that says that the opposite of love is not hate. The opposite of love is fear. So when we start looking at sex, sometimes there's a fear that comes up around that. And how can I put this? I was going to say rightfully so, but that's not the right term I want to use. The fear comes up around sex. Oh, because we have been programmed, right? We have been programmed to believe that sex is dirty, that sex is nasty, that sex is all of the things except for what it was meant to be. And it's more than, for human beings, it's more than co-creation. It's a trippy thing, right? That we talk about sex in such a bad way. But if it was not for sex, none of us would be here. Just saying. So with such a powerful creative energy, and it is a powerful creative energy, not just in procreating and keeping the species going, it is a powerful creative energy that can be used to create a world that works for all. It can be used to create success in business. It can be used to create beautiful music. The energy of sex. Think about this, right? The power of sex. I'm going to talk about the procreation portion of this. This is how powerful this energy is. In that moment of explosion, in that moment, all of the energy of the body goes into creating a human being. So, what if we were to learn how to transmute that energy, not just for the physical aspect, but everything else? And we're going to get into that in just a couple of moments. As human beings, we are created with beautiful, different energies. We are human beings. We are spiritual beings. We are mental beings. We are physical beings. Now, I know that most of us have heard that we are we are spiritual beings having a human experience. I like to say it this way, that we are we are spiritual beings having a spiritual experience in this incarnation on this spiritual plane called life. See, because this body temple, which is exactly what it is the temple of the living spirit. So we are spiritual beings first. And then spirit thinks upon itself, turns upon itself, thinks into itself. And so, which means that we are also mental beings. And out of that thinking comes the physical aspect. Isn't that kind of the creative process? We have the thought, which comes from spirit, which is spirit. And then it gets into that mental realm, in which we can also call the subconscious mind. And the science of mind teaching symbol, that would be that middle section, which we call or label soul or subjective mind. How about this one? Law. So when we drop that seed or release my word into the law, and then it has to, by law, manifest on the physical level. So this spiritual being, this is who we are first. This is who we are first. And then along with that, we are then mental beings. Now, in the mental aspect of our being, this includes our emotions and our feelings. Our emotions and our feelings. When Dr. Holmes speaks about affirmations, he says that affirmations are nothing without the feeling tone, right? You want to feel what you are affirming. So when I affirm that I am the joy of God, I want to feel that joy. I want to, because when I'm feeling that, now I am being it. I'm not just talking about it. I am actually being what I am feeling, right? So it's our feelings that we want to really get into. As we start to tap into that deeper, we have this emotion and these feelings and the emotions, and then we start to feel or we think about this thing called sex. Now, let's have the conversation coming from the unstatus quo, right? The unstatus quo. Let's talk about this. See, there must be a balance between our spiritual selves, our mental selves, and our physical selves. If you want to, you can look at it as a divine trinity, right? Spirit, mind, and body. Spirit, mind, and body. And we have to be able to start working to have them harmonize and to blend together with one another. And the only way to do that on that physical level is to talk about sex. It is amazing to me that it is looked upon so negatively when it is the most beautiful thing that we can ever engage in. The most beautiful thing that we can engage in. Check this out. When we talk about the physical body and sexually speaking, the body has so many erogenous zones. Why? For the pleasure of sex. Man, I can get a little bit deeper, but I'm not going to, because that might be a bit too deep. But we want to talk about, we have parts of the body that are created just for that one specific purpose, to bring us physical, sexual pleasure, right? So what we want to do is start to embrace that. We want to start to let go of the guilt and shame around sex that I'm going to use the Western society has done to this beautiful, beautiful spiritual gift that we have been given. Yes, we can talk about all of how the Puritans looked at sex and how the church looked at sex and all of that, but we are having this unstatus quo conversation to have the courage to talk about this. Now, I want to go to something. See, when I was saying that the three must be balanced, I want to read you something from Napoleon Hill, the author of, and this is in his book, Think and Grow Rich. The emotions of faith, love, and sex are the most powerful of all the major positive emotions. When the three are blended, they have the effect of coloring the vibrations of thought in such a way that it instantly reaches a subconscious mind where it is changed into its spiritual equivalent. I want to read that part again. They have the effect of coloring the vibration of thought in such a way that it instantly reaches the subconscious mind. Remember, that's the law. Our subconscious mind is the law, where it is changed into its spiritual equivalent, the only form that induces a response from infinite intelligence. Love and faith are psychic, related to the spiritual side of humanity. Sex is purely biological and related only to the physical. The mixing or blending of these three emotions has the effect of opening a direct line of communication between the finite thinking human mind and infinite intelligence. Faith, love, and sex. Napoleon Hill, doing his research over 20 years to come up with or to write the book Think and Grow Rich, he has one chapter just on sex transmutation and how it was so directly connected to the success of these millionaires, these billionaires, because they use that energy not just on the physical side, but for that spiritual transformation. In the Taoist practice, sexuality is used. There's a sect of Taoism that uses sex as spiritual enlightenment. They use it to transmute the energy. Akin to that is Tantra, right? So it's not so much about getting off, right? It's not so much about that. It's really about, for the men, it's about retaining that energy and then transmuting it to bring that up to the spirit or to the mind. So the status quo is, again, as I said earlier, is to not talk about sex. The status quo is to feel ashamed about sex and our feelings about the most sacred act of creation. So that's why with the status quo, we don't talk about it. And it just gets buried down. But you know what happens when you try to hold a beach ball below the surface of the water? It's hard to keep it down, and eventually it's going to pop up. It's going to want to be expressed, right? So when we thank you, Spirit. When we start to suppress that energy, that sexual energy, it has to burst forth. And unfortunately, sometimes we see it burst forth in the most negative of ways, right? We don't need to talk about those ways that it shows up, but I'm going to mention a few. We have sexual abuse, we have molestation, we have rape, we have all of this stuff. And it's because this powerful energy is so strong that it has to come out some way. Now, the way that we can have it come out, societally speaking, is to start talking about the beauty of it, to talk about how powerful sex is. But perhaps we don't talk about it because of the intimacy that it takes, right? I love that word, intimacy, because when I'm talking about, what I think about sex and what excites me, right? Well, I don't want anybody else to know what I'm thinking because that's too intimate. Intimacy, into me, see. You start seeing who I really am. And so when we start to try to hide ourselves and block ourselves off from others, isn't that another form of separation? Now, I'm not saying, my brothers and sisters, to go out there and start shouting from the rooftop that I am a free sexual being and this is what I like and don't like. I'm not saying to do that. But what I am saying is to start to build the confidence and the courage of self to have these discussions. Let's talk about sex. Let's talk about all the good things and the bad things that can be, which is the lyric in that song. So we want to start talking about how we want to be with this. I mean, going back to the intimacy and being afraid to talk about it, what would people think about me if they really knew the thoughts that I was having? Now, here's the thing. Remember, I was saying that we are spiritual beings, we are mental beings, we are physical beings. So in the mental part of it, right? What would people think, mental, if they really knew what I was thinking about, mental, right? But as I start to think about myself with this shame and this blame of the thoughts that I'm keeping, I am now denying my God-given gift. Where did you think these exciting thoughts come from? You know how it is when you look at your partner and you have this thought about, boy, I would love just to nibble on your neck. You know that feeling that comes up. Where do you think that comes from? That is spirit expressing itself through you. Yeah, I want you to sit with that. That is spirit wanting to express itself through you and as you in this way. There's no separation here. If we say that God is all there is, then God is all there is, showing up as this beautiful sexual being, not just for procreation, but for the pleasure of life. Oh my God. And so now when we raise our consciousness, to express this through the vibration of spirit, oh, now we got a party going on. And if we find a partner, no, not if, when we find a partner that is in that same accord, oh boy, isn't that a party? And then just think about how that, no pun intended, how that comes together to create not just a world that works for those two, but a world that works for the extended family, a world that works for the community, a world that works for the city, a world that works for the state, a world that works for the nation, a world that works for the world. So what we want to do is to have courage to let people in. We want to have the courage to be bold enough to speak about it with someone, of course, that you trust. You know, let's talk about sex, baby. Let's talk about this. You know, and then as we start having these conversations, guiding people and guiding ourselves, first of all, to understand that there's nothing really bad about it, since it's a God-given gift. Now, it's only bad when we think that it's bad. Shakespeare, nothing is good or bad, but thinking makes it so. Oh, wait a minute. What did Dr. Holmes say? Change your thinking, change your life? Oh, wait a minute. Scripture says, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. In other words, let's have a new thought about this thing called sex. And then as we start to allow ourselves to let people see into us, when we allow ourselves to be vulnerable, to have these conversations, then we can have conversations about politics from a different level of consciousness. We get to start having conversations about different religions from a higher state of consciousness. Not from a place of, because it's time to do it differently, right? Not from a place of this one is better than that one. We've had enough of that for hundreds and hundreds on hundreds of years. We've had enough of that. Now it's time to start looking through the eyes of love. It doesn't matter who you love as long as you love, right? So let's love one another. In the New Testament, the disciples were asking Yeshua Messiah, Yeshua ben Joseph, you know, what is the greatest commandment? And he said that there are two. And the first commandment is to love the Lord thy God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind, and with all your might. In other words, with your all in all. Love God with everything that you have, in everything that you are. And I love the way this was put. And he said, and it was written, and the second commandment is like unto the first. It's like the first, and that is to love your neighbor as you love yourself. Sometimes, depending on the translation, you will hear it put, love your neighbor as yourself. Now, for me to love my neighbor as myself, I have to ask myself, how much do I love me? Do I love me unconditionally? And as I've said many times before, unconditional love means that I love you no matter what you say or don't say, no matter what you do or have not done. And here's the thing about love. Love by its very nature is unconditional. Love just loves. Love just loves. So what I am inviting us all to do is to have the courage to be vulnerable, to talk about your feelings about sex. Now, again, I'm saying, you don't have to get up on the rooftop and yell this to the nation, or talk about it in a mixed group of people. You want to be very clear about who you're being intimate with, right? However, have the conversation. Now, for some of us, that's going to take some courage. Then for some of us, it may not take as much courage. It doesn't matter whether it's you have the courage or you need more courage to talk about this beautiful, intimate topic. What matters is that we have the conversation. We have the conversation. Then that way, this power, this energy can then transform not only our lives, but the lives of those around us. So I'm going to leave you with this, which would be a few minutes. I want to bring us back. I want to bring it full circle back to what Dr. Holmes says, right? That there is only one life, and that life is God. That life is perfect. That life is my life now. That life is your life. Now, there's only one life. So in that perfect life, and perfection is a subject call. You get to, perfection is subjective. Whatever is perfect for you may not be perfect for me, but it's perfect for you. There's only one life. That life is God. That life is perfect. That life is perfect. And you are that life right here and right now. So I want to encourage you and all of us to step into our excellence, to step into our perfection, to step into who and what we truly are. We are divine beings of light, encompassed in this beautiful, beautiful physical body. So let's take care of the body. Let's not shame the body any longer. Let's talk about sex, baby, so that we may let go of the shame and the guilt, so that all of that falls away. Ricky Byers has a song, Falling Away From Me. All of the things I used to say are now falling away from me. The guilt and shame and all the things that held me down, they're falling away. So it's time to rise up. It's time to step into having and being a grand rising, lifting up our consciousness, where when we are lifted up in consciousness, we draw all others with us. We draw others with us to live and to move and to have our being on that beautiful, loving vibration. It doesn't matter who you love, as long as you love. And it starts with yourself. So remember that no matter where you go, goes God. You are God in action. The breath that you breathe is God in action. The thoughts that you think are God in action. The sex that you have is God in action. Because there's only one life, right? So if there's only one life, then God, that one life of God is everything, everything, everything. I love you. I thank you. I thank God for you. And I appreciate you being here. And for those who have ears to hear, thank you for listening. Peace and blessings.
Thank you, Reverend Eugene. What an interesting topic and very informative of what we can do and be and express as who we are as individual expressions of God. Thank you for that today. And now it's time for our conscious giving. So we bring to you every Sunday these amazing speakers and wonderful topics that we're following along with CSL that they've outlined. And we appreciate your donations every week to get us here, to create this place for us to learn and to grow and to be. And so if you would, you can donate at cslmidtown.org/donate. That's the URL there. Or you can scan the QR code if you can see it on your screen. And if you would, say with me our affirmation of prosperity. I live in a universe of abundance. As I freely and joyfully give, I join in the divine flow. And all that I share with life returns to me multiplied abundantly. And so it is. So we've got a couple of announcements. As Barbara mentioned, October, the in-person meeting is going to be the second week in October. So October 13th will be our in-person. On the first Sunday will be online. So for those of you in the Atlanta area, visiting the Atlanta area, the second week in October. So we're just giving you some advance notice because the September will be the first weekend as normal. October, we just had a little shift there. So next week, we've got Reverend Mignon Pollard. And so the truth about wholeness and disability. So that should be an interesting talk from her. Welcome her back. So now, if you would, with me, do our affirmation of life. I leave this place now knowing something better than I knew before. I go forth into the world with a heart full of love and a mind full of good sense. I look at the world in a greater way, knowing that I have within me everything I need to create the life I desire. I give thanks for this understanding, and I am grateful for the spirit of life that lives through me. And so it is. And if you're online now, currently, join us over on Zoom with Reverend Holden to have a discussion about his talk and other things. So you can get there by going to cslmidtown.org, scroll down to the Zoom link, get the little code, click the link, and it will take you right there if you're not already there. Thanks, and have a great week, everybody.